Hi, it's September 24th and welcome to my first installment of this format I call the Blog Report. Before I get to the top news items of the day and what we're covering in politics, pop culture, and sports, let's take a look at what's hot on Technorati. This is Technorati Blogger Central. What's percolating on blogs now? The top tags are as follows: news, politics, Barack Obama, economy, John McCain, Sarah Palin, Google, Android, business, and media. But we're going to start with politics. And the hot news item of the day is the call for Senator John McCain for the postponement of Friday's debate so he can go to Washington and basically help out with a new economic bailout plan, and Senator Barack Obama's call for the debates to continue. Now, the full story of this is quite interesting. According to Senator Barack Obama's press conference earlier today, he received a phone call first at the behest of Tom Coburn, another senator, asking him to join with Senator McCain in forming bipartisan language that essentially says we will work together to come up with a bailout plan that is acceptable to all sides and the American people. Barack Obama called John McCain. They had a cordial conversation, and from Senator Obama's perspective, Senator McCain left the conversation with basically the idea that he was going to mull over the possibility of asking for a debate postponement. 6 hours later, Senator Obama was informed that Senator McCain had held a press conference asking for the debate to be postponed. So just about 3 hours after that, Senator Obama stepped forward and said, I want the debates to continue. And I believe that at this time, the American people need to hear how we are going to address these most pressing concerns. So where we stand today is that John McCain has said that in the morning he's going to suspend his campaign and not debate. But Senator Obama has said that he will debate. Now, there are those, including myself, that have said Senator McCain is simply playing politics and that Barack Obama was right to call his bluff. I stand by that. Was it a smart political move for Senator McCain? No. And I point as evidence this page on Jack Cafferty's blog. Jack Cafferty is the announcer for CNN, where he asked his viewers if the presidential debate should continue and if John McCain was right in calling for a postponement of the debate. The answer was an overwhelming 90% no. Many of them derisive of a McCain and just incredulously asking how could he even suggest such a thing. That presidents can, and this is Obama's stance as well, do two things at once. They can multitask. The implication being that John McCain is only capable of focusing on one thing at a time. That's where it stands right now. The debates will continue, and now, arguably, Senator Obama walks into the debate in Mississippi with an enormous advantage, and Senator McCain an incredible disadvantage. The second proposal we're focused on at Zenny Zeitgeist blog, which you can also get to if you type zenny62.com, is the bailout proposal itself. It's not good. If you take a look at the text, which you can see on our blog, of the bailout proposal, it reads, among other things, that $700 billion will be spent at any one time. So folks, while this is being pitched as a $700 billion plan, it could potentially be more than that because there's no wording that says you will spend up to $700 billion and no more. It says up to $700 billion at any one time, which implies that it could be on more than one occasion. The other problem that's pointed to by persons who have accounts on Facebook is that Secretary Henry Paulson has language calling for basically the inability of the courts to overturn or undo this proposal. Essentially, Secretary Paulson is setting up a law that looks something like a dictatorship. And there are many people who find that distasteful. In fact, So many that a new Facebook group specifically calling for the firing of Secretary Paulson has been set up, which you can see if you wish if you go to this URL that you see right here on this screen. But the bottom line is that the bailout bill, if you read it, only concerns mortgages. There are several $1 trillion of debt from credit cards that you and I and others use. And in many cases, credit card bills and credit card accounts that have fallen into delinquency and went to third-party collectors. There's no plan to take those accounts off the books, much as there's a plan to take the mortgages, the bad mortgages, off the books. If the credit system were thrown into the mix of this bailout plan, there would be a proposal that was closer to Main Street than just to Wall Street. Rather than turning to entertainment, since politics has become entertainment, we're going to continue with politics. And we're going to take another look at why John McCain would call for the suspension of Friday's debate. It's not going to happen. In fact, it doesn't look like it's going to happen at all, because Senator Barack Obama has said that he wants the debate to continue. And I might add that many people, including those who have responded to Jack Cafferty's question on his Cafferty File blog, have said that they want the debate to continue, and moreover, that what John McCain was doing was a political ploy. So, why would Senator McCain make such a move? Well, first of all, he's in trouble and he knows it. A Washington Post poll released just yesterday of likely voters, which tend to vote Republican, had Senator Obama ahead by approximately 7 points. Now, that spells trouble for Senator McCain. And it spells trouble at a time when the focus of the nation is not on foreign policy. It's not on Iraq. It's not on Iran. It's on the economy, and rightly so. So here we come to Friday's debate. He's already getting hammered in the polls. He has a vice presidential running mate in Governor Sarah Palin, who's already now been branded as inexperienced and whose poll numbers are tanking by the day. Senator McCain's campaign has signs that it's beginning to take on water. So what does he do? He throws a Hail Mary pass. He says, I'll make myself look like the leader that is needed in these situations since President Bush's approval rating is so low, and I will call for a postponement to these debates, and I will, in the morning, get on a plane and head back to Washington. But think about what that means. It is said by Congressman Rahm Emanuel, Speaker Pelosi, and others, even others on the Republican side, that the two sides, Republican and Democrat, are getting closer toward forming a bipartisan plan. If they come up with one, and Senator McCain is in Washington at the time, you can bet that Senator McCain is going to take the steps to make it look like it was his plan and he came up with it. That's what Senator McCain is trying to engineer. But he does so with the danger of basically, and I'd say this colloquially, pissing off the American people. The American people want to see a debate. They want to see Senator Obama and Senator McCain discuss the issues and discuss how they're going to get us out of this crisis that we're in. If Senator Obama comes to Mississippi and there's an empty chair where Senator McCain should have been, it will wreck his poll numbers. And again, my evidence for that assertion is the enormous negative response that can be seen on the Cafferty File blog to Jack Cafferty's question, was John McCain right to call for a postponement of the debates? The resounding answer was no. Absolutely not. So that wasn't something that was reported, I might add, on CNN. Jack Cafferty read 4. 3 against the McCain proposal, 1 for it. So you would think that it was 75% for, rather against the McCain proposal, and 25% for. In point of fact, it was 90% against the McCain proposal and 10% for. Go look for yourself. It will be quite interesting, this first debate, and I think historic because, as it was pointed out, that when Kennedy debated Nixon in 1960, it was agreed by everyone that Nixon had more foreign policy experience. But the debate showed that Kennedy had enough. He had enough experience in foreign policy to comfort the American people and to match his domestic policy experience, as well as the charisma and intelligence that he brought to the campaign of President of the United States and that he brought to his presidency. So Senator Obama is in a very similar position this week and will be in a very similar position Friday night. And remaining on the topic of Friday's presidential debate, I want your help. I want to know what you think the journalists like Jim Lehrer of the McNeil-Lehrer Hour, who's going to be on the panel of reporters asking the questions of both Senator Obama and Senator McCain, what should be asked? What are your concerns? What do you want to see addressed? Is it just national security? Do you want us to dump national security and focus entirely on the economy? Seems like a likely request. What about other domestic issues? Like, for example, education. That's far afield from national security at first glance. But is there a relationship between education and national security? What about national security and domestic terrorism? That's my concern. How many times do I have to hear about white supremacist groups and their threats on others? Isn't that a national security issue as well, especially considering that Timothy McVeigh, who was responsible for the Oklahoma City bombing, was in a white supremacist group? But enough about my concerns. What are yours? Get in front of a video camera. Get in front of your iMovie camera. Get in front of whatever your camera you have, your cell phone camera, for example. And let us know what you think and what you want to hear. And if you don't have a camera, here's a clever alternative. At least I think it's clever. Go to your computer and have your voice recorded as an MP3 file, and then match that with a photograph of yourself, and combine that and upload it at the iReport, or combine it through your iMovie program and upload it that way, because you could have a Macintosh, have iMovie, and maybe your eyesight camera isn't working or something like that. Well, there's an alternative for you to try. But however you do it, let us know what you think. Now let's look at pop culture and sports and see what we find. At entertainment, we find McCain and the Platform and Pop-Tarts. Lindsay Lohan's dad wants Gal Pal out of her life. The first blog that's rising in links, in other words, the number of blogs linking to it, the McCain article is really interesting. McCain and the Platform. It reads like this. Not that anyone pays attention to party platforms, least of all McCain, but a reader spots this rather unambiguous section of the platform just passed by the Republican Party, the GOP. We do not support government bailouts of private institutions. Government interference in the market exacerbates problems in the marketplace and causes the free market to take longer to correct itself. Ladies and gentlemen, if that's in the GOP platform, then it immediately erases the Republican Party from any admission of ability to change government so that government can be more effective at correcting market forces. For McCain to support or back a platform that calls for essentially government to bail out private institutions and then of course help Main Street private institutions means that automatically he has went against the Republican Party platform. Now, doesn't that sound like it would secede the entire responsibility to Democrats? Yes, of course it does. let's go a step further with that. My hero, the late economist John Kenneth Galbraith of Harvard, was famous for saying that Republicans had the singular distinction of accusing government of being inept, and then when they took office, doing everything they could to make it so. Thus, we've had 26 years of Reagan Republican rule, the Reagan Revolution, where government was taken out of our lives. We saw the deregulation of airlines. We saw the deregulation of the banking industry. And with both, we saw, in the case of the airlines, increased maintenance delays, crashes, and while we've seen airfares decrease, we've also seen a constant and dramatic decrease in service. From food in coach to no food in coach, from bags checked without being charged to not only 1, but 2 and 3 bags checked at $10 to $15 to $20 a piece. It's going in the wrong direction. And that's because we've taken government out of the system. But the ultimate example of taking government, quote, out of our lives, unquote, is the tepid and inept response of government to the Katrina hurricane impact on the city of New Orleans and the devastation it caused, almost erasing that city from the world map. New Orleans has not recovered, and our government still has not assembled and implemented a critical and credible plan to rebuild that city. Now, what are the hot topics in sports? Let's take a look. Well, we find that the Dodgers won today, reducing their magic number of wins needed to clinch the NL West to 3. And I have to look down because this was up just a few seconds ago. Quarterback Mark Bulger benched by the Rams. Now, if you're a Yankees fan, you've got to be really upset that Dodgers manager Joe Torre, who was the manager of your Yankees just last year, is getting the Dodgers to the playoffs and Yankees are going nowhere. That's the reverse of the outcome you wanted. What you thought as a Yankees fan was that if you got rid of Joe Torre, you would get to the playoffs again. And that Joe Torre was so bad, he was going nowhere. It hasn't worked out that way at all. The Dodgers are just 3 wins from clinching the National League West. And the Yankees are building a new stadium. Now, on the matter of the Rams, benching Mark Bulger for Trent Green is not the answer. A full-scale redesign of the Rams offense is. The Rams offense seems to be a series of schemes in search of the proper personnel to use them. If that's a creative way of saying that the Rams offensive coordinator isn't doing a good job, I'll just say it. The Rams offensive coordinator is not doing a good job. They've got some of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, yet they don't devise the same type of creative schemes to get them open that Mike Martz did. The problem with the Martz offense, which is also the problem with the Martz offense in San Francisco, even though they're winning right now, is that it gets the quarterback into a position of being sacked a lot. But here's the problem. So does Scott Linehan's offense. Scott Linehan needs to install a series of effective 3-step drops from 4 and 5 wide receiver sets so that they can be more effective offensively. Otherwise, they're going to get the already fragile Trent Green killed. Stay tuned for our next blog report, and as we build this series, you're going to see more than just me talking. You're going to hear from other people as well. But thanks, it's a lot of fun.